what's going on. I want to do a video on how to raise awareness. And basically, whether you want to be spiritual or whatever the case is, raising awareness, consciousness, I guess, is a little bit different, but they could be side by side. What awareness is, when you're young, especially how you're taught and the environment you grew up in, they're not going to teach you this at all, and very few people are going to pick up on it, especially when you're young, when you're a kid and when you're a teenager. Some people never pick up on it, and it's a curse and a blessing, I guess. But I guess at the end of the day, you find yourself, when you do really connect with that awareness, and there's different ways. There's at the top 2 different ways of really getting into it. One of the ways would be because a lot of people just aren't aware of what's going on, mostly everybody, and they distract themselves too much, whether it's on purpose or not, usually with a job, then kids, family matters, friends, and just distracting themselves because they never take time with themselves, such as a girl that always has a boyfriend, which that can be a good thing, but at the same time they never find themselves and they're just running along. Not to say that is the case every time. Of course, they could be just trying different boyfriends and maybe that's what they actually want to do. I mean, it all depends what they want to do, but theoretically there's some people who don't have a clue what they're doing, and there's nothing wrong with that either, of course, but there's no one, they're not really searching for themselves. They're just following some type of flow, and they're not really digging deep in themselves because, one, they don't know how to, or never heard anything about it, or they just never took a break. Basically, they're always playing a video game, looking at their phone screen. They're always doing something. They're never just take that break, basically, that breath. They're always stressed out. They're always smoking, and it's not the same for everybody, but usually a common theme is people distract themselves, works, kids, always having a friend or a boyfriend, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, well, tired of saying nothing is wrong, but the beneficial part, the benefit would be to be by yourself and take some time to yourself instead of being around everybody, around someone all the time. A lot of these people usually can't be alone because they can't deal with themselves. Okay, enough with that. We're going to talk about how to raise awareness and what all these people talk about. It's really simple and it's not complex at all, but it's to know what's going on around you. And you may have got some inclination of maybe if you smoked weed or did shrooms or did some other drug. Not necessarily, maybe with alcohol. I've never really, don't think I've had experience with that. But basically, you, like, for example, raising awareness around you, it's a lot more catchier than it seems, but I guess that's the word you have to use. For instance, when you eat food, are you knowing where your food comes from? Most of us don't anyway, but are you at least reading the label on it, if there's a label, and seeing the ingredients inside of it and what it's actually doing to you? Do you feel and recognize? Is it registering? Is it feeding you or taking away? And is it actually doing something to you? Food is definitely one, and what the food actually does to you. Are you eating blindly and not paying attention to how the food reacts inside of you when you consume it? Are you having any reactions? And again, where your food's coming from. But most of us live in a shit show and don't know where any of our food comes from. So to at least know, is it a whole food or not? That's what we should base it on. If you are going to eat shit with ingredients in it, you should at least look at it and see where it's what's in it. Especially when you go out to eat anywhere, you're never going to know what's in all the stuff they're making unless it's like a super high quality restaurant. But even that being said, you never know because it's all blind. When they make the food, you don't see it. you're blindfolded and you don't know what's in it. Some people could give a shit about what's in it, what's not, if it's real, if it's fake, you know. Some people don't, and some people could care less about health. This is raising awareness in that sense. That's one way to raise awareness. Another one would be to what's going on you in the environment, and this one's probably overlooked and people have no clue because they just, you know, a lot of the time they're maybe inside and again distracted by video games, TV, the internet, phone, friends, family. And there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff, as I'm saying, but it's when it's compulsive and you're just not aware of what's going on around you and how it's influenced you, such as maybe watching porn, and then, you know, because everything you watch, even this video, unfortunately, but everything you watch is going to be, whether you take it in consciously or not, which is just remembering it or not on a surface level, you are always going to, it's always going to be embedded in you. Like I was saying, watching porn, if you think like, you know, this girl's like moaning super loud and this guy's banging her, for example, and then you go bang a girl and she's not moaning super loud and you're not doing it as you thought it was going to be because you have an image that you brought in from the outside, especially from the screen, from the internet. Usually they're all actors for the most part, not all of them, but let's just say you did watch an actment, and now you have an ideal or this unrealization, this fantasy basically of how the girl's supposed to act and how you're supposed to be, but meanwhile that's all made up and there is no set definition. And again, you know, every situation's different. Like the girl again could have been faking all her emotions, and there you go. So it was just an act, as I said, but that's just an in-depth example with subsidies. Another one would be, example, your environment or something like that, which you can't really get past some of it. Of course, it's always going to be embedded in you. Like I said, whether you realize it or not, it's always going to be there. It's something you've seen. So it could be from a movie or anything realistically, because it's hard to pinpoint things because you're always being flashed and you're not going to be and take in everything. Like me walking outside right now, there's rocks, there's grass, there's air and all the greenery, cloud, sky. I'm not looking at everything and I'm not focused on everything and I'm not going to remember everything. Even my memory won't take in everything. Whatever interests you, which biologically everyone's different, and of course I guess that's subject to change, but whatever interests you is what you put your focus on and basically what embeds in you, whether you like it or not. But usually you do have some draw to it, some gravitation. Another, what I was gonna say though about the billboard, if you were looking at a billboard and it had some advertisement for some bullshit, UPMC for example, about some health, you just looked at it for a flash, it will be usually stuck in your head almost forever. Whether you remember it consciously or not, it's always going to be there. And this is going to be, you know, on a subconscious level maybe. So that's another, these are all examples of the environment of I was just preaching about and touching down on. So, and again, raising awareness is just being knowing what's going on, like, and be sure, you know, you're committing to the situation. Everyone that's young, basically, especially teenagers in the Western world or in first world countries, to say, they have no clue about this, no clue what's going on. And just like watching something gives you unexpected realizations that are not real, such as like an image, like someone who has like a CGI or on a movie, you know, like maybe Pirates of the Caribbean, that he's doing all these stunts and stuff. These stunts were made for him and made to do it. It's just a movie, even though you may watch this movie and it may have gave you feelings of excitement and stuff, which there's nothing wrong, but to live exactly like that, it will probably never happen exactly like that, and it would never be that, because again, that was shot with a bunch of angles of cameras and in third person, of course, from outside view, and it's just not necessarily normal. And especially in today's world, life really isn't like that. That's why it's a movie. But then you get these images of what maybe life could be like, or drastically unproportional, stretched reality, distorted, if you may. And then I was gonna say, if you ever see like a model or something, or even a music video is a good one, because especially with rappers or anything like that, they're blowing everything out of proportion, and it's not really like this at all. I mean, it may be in sometimes, but it's all for views, it's all for a sight, you know. And but then you brainwash little kids, and especially when you talk about lyrics of sipping codeine or just doing drugs in general. Yeah, it depends on how you talk about it. Usually people are bragging about it. I mean, they are talking about their life essentially, but a lot of people, usually anyone's audience for the most part, is always, especially in entertainment, is usually for the younger generations, the super young. People have no clue. That's what I was talking about. They have no clue what's going on in the environment. They were never taught to, and they have to stumble upon it, or somehow majestically want it, but it's so unrealistic for that to happen, though it does happen, because there's so much brainwash and propaganda and strict and discipline on people about, especially when you go through school, that you'll never find out about any of this or have a curiosity, because it'll never strike you, because they're always putting images in your head. The same with your family and your mom and dad, and the peer pressure in the neighborhood that you grew up in of how life is supposed to be, because you go life anywhere, life will always be different among the culture anywhere you go, especially if there isn't a culture such as urban area as a city or something, where it's just like a whole kabumfuck of a bunch of stuff. And you know, people aren't connected to the land. There's going to be some discrepancies and disconnection for sure. So as I was talking about the music videos, you know, usually even when the women, there's always, you know, naked women in there dancing around and stuff. They're acting, and you might notice or not, but it's put an image in your head that's unrealistic, and it's not how it is. Even if they do have a bunch of money and paid for it, yeah, but you're broke. That's probably not going to happen. It's not going to happen the way the music video did it, and it's just out of context, really. A bunch of money, a bunch of balls, yada yada yada. I mean, if that's the way, that's what I'm saying. If that's the life you want to live, then that's what it is. A lot of people, though, what I'm tackling is a lot of people don't want to live a life like this, but they don't know any better or know anything, and they kind of get sucked into it and drawn into it because the people around them listen to it, or maybe they aren't interested to it, but they're blowing everything out of proportion. And music videos is what I was emphasizing on right there. And what I'll say is, so, like, for me, like, not that I have anything wrong with polygamy or having a bunch of girls, hoes, bitches, whatever, you know what I mean? It all depends on what you want at the end of the day, but a lot of people have no clue about anything because they're never taught. And what they are taught, this is the thing, what they do learn is when these music videos of the rappers, they're always talking about hoes and bitches and always having plenty of girls, and they're cheating on their girl, whether it's their wife or girlfriend, they're cheating, and you always hear about this stuff. So what an example of really deep down to myself was, I always wanted like a bunch of girls. Not, it's weird because I just had the idea. I've never really necessarily experienced it per se, and there's nothing wrong with it again, but these people are putting images in your head that are unrealistic. Even when you are with girls, you can't fuck both of them at the same time anyway. And even if you could, in some way use body parts or whatever, you wouldn't be able to focus on doing both. You'd be focused on one at a time. I mean, and you can argue against that, whatever, but I just want to show you where I'm going with this, basically. And okay, so we're gonna go away from the beginning when I was talking about raising awareness and it just being conscious of what's going on. And one of the ways I said was going to be food and where it comes from, or what the ingredients are mixed in it. The other one was the environment, and from the social media to the TV, along with just the conditioning that we're taught when we're real young, that you have to act like this and behave like that. No two cultures really act the same. There is some type of loyalty, love, and passion, but most of us, especially in the first world countries, and when you grow up in cities and dysfunctional families and corrupt places, you're not taught this, and things that are maybe right, you're taught are wrong for necessarily, and they install beliefs in you that are unreal. And one would be like a Bible or heaven and hell, that you go to heaven or you go to hell or whatever it is. They're just beliefs. They're merely a collective belief someone installed in your head that whether it's real or not, it doesn't matter, because it's an act of believing. You have to believe in it. Just like you did with, a great example of this would be Santa Claus. You love the fascination, especially when you're young, about Santa Claus. Most people, or I guess a generalization is, when you learned actually about Santa Claus and that he's not real at a certain point, you got really upset. But the whole thing is, you never saw Santa. You saw pictures, you saw books, TV shows, maybe jingles or whatever. Of course you did. But you never saw Santa. That was the thing. You could never see him. Maybe people dressed up as him, but then there's a bunch of Santas, but you never seen him. And it's crazy because I don't have that perspective of when I was a child. That's why I said it's like a blessing and a curse. But then you get to figure out who you really are and what you want to do when you raise awareness and become conscious of it. I just not the biggest fan of the word conscious, but it just feels like it throws some people off. It makes things more complex, especially big words like that. But yeah, like when you learn about Santa, you're like, oh yeah, you want to give him cookies, the reindeer are coming, and oh my god, he's coming down through the chimney. I don't even have a chimney. No, but he's coming, and if you do, you're like, we haven't even used the fireplace. I can't believe he's coming through the freaking chimney. Every time we see him, he's fat as hell. He's really coming down there. He doesn't get stuck. How does he go back up? You know what I mean? And it's just like you have all these things, these fantasizations that other people installed in you. For somebody who lived in like a tribe or traditionally, or didn't grow up with these circumstances, they would never be taught about Santa. They might hear maybe a myth or something, which I guess they're both the same in some circumstance, which I never thought about. And of course, I never grew up in a so-called tribe or, just away from necessarily society, where you basically live by yourselves and live off the land in that retrospective. But yeah, as you can see, but that stuff's not real at the end of the day. And that's where I was getting into, maybe, like I said, the programming and the propaganda. So the environment and the pressure around you, the media, your friends, your family, and just the rules and regulations. One rule gets treated completely different in a different place, or they tolerate it, and you can't do something somewhere else at all. There's some places you can't have any drugs, whatever it is. There's some places where you can have every drug. But realistically, when you get out in the nature, there is no laws and there is no rules. And some people never experience that. So, yeah, and then another awareness, you see the things externally as they're coming in, how music really makes you feel. Just is it upbeat or upbeat, downbeat, and how is it really resonating with you, because you'll feel it inside, everything you will feel. And then I guess the third one of awareness would be internally, which it goes with all the ones, because you are one with what goes on, and everything that resonates sends off like a sonic wave, and you always feel it. Like when the train comes, though one luckily hasn't, it vibrates down there. You may hear it, but it's also vibrating. It's vibrating through the railroad, coming up, hitting the air. It's also hitting the ground and going up and through your physical body. I mean, because you are just basically air. You may have skin or whatever, but it's just coming through. And just how music, you feel it, you hear it, but it's actually producing a substance of feel. And just like I said about the food and how you react for it and how does it make you feel. So internally would be an awareness, how you witnessing your emotions and what's actually going on inside of you. And 1 through 3, the ones that I named and pretty much everything I went over, these are all ways to raise awareness and bring conscious to a whole nother level. Another way, which I can't say I don't recommend, but maybe you should try it sometime, is starving yourself basically and fasting, because it's really cruel, but it's also fascinating in the same way. Basically, when you starve yourself, which most people are nutritionally and malnourished anyway, but when you starve yourself without eating, because you can feed yourself garbage and it can run on it, but it won't be optimal. When you fast, which is not eating, you basically freaking like your energy, because when you eat, energy goes down, and when you freaking when you don't eat, your energy goes up. When you're not eating, your energy goes up. And when this goes on, your body essentially maybe has a break. I don't know all of it behind. I did it myself before, plenty of times. And it's, I don't know, it's just like a phenomenon. And I have videos on it, of course, but this is a way you could definitely raise conscious and awareness, because it's different from everybody. But from what happened to me, and what I would say would happen is you basically lack energy, and you feed off yourself, and you start eating yourself, because that's what happens. So you get basically a high, a euphoria, and I will say it is much greater than smoking weed, drinking alcohol, and sex. Definitely, it definitely is. There's no question about it. I mean, I just know, I know. And it's similar to smoking weed, but it was just on a whole nother level. Like, just if there was a level above smoking marijuana, this would be it. And that's why abstaining from eating brings you this consciousness and awareness. To me, I would say it's because of the lack of energy, though you could have energy and you will, spurts of it, but you get so low on energy that you kind of pay attention to like really subtle things, and then your consciousness maybe goes into like a survival mode. Your physiology, your brain thinks like, I'm starving, and then it just sees the world. Basically, it changes how you see it. And I guess and that's what I'm saying, you can't, people always talk about perspective. You can't change you can, but not to how you are when you freaking, there's certain things you can change your perspective, but how you feel, such as like when you would smoke weed, I don't believe you could ever get into that feeling of what weed's like, because it just does something. And I've done, you know what I mean? Even fasting with not eating, it's just a completely different revenue or avenue for that. And weed's just something, it's close but nowhere near it, and it's nowhere near it, to be honest. But that's what something you can compare it to. And it's a long video, hope someone watches it. Subscribe to the channel, I guess it's a great time, let other people know about it. it's just like how you feel off of weed when you did that. Personally, you can't replicate that without smoking weed. I mean, I guess that's the point of smoking weed, but you can't change your perspective of how you were when you were high, because you know when you're high, you have like more sympathy for people, and you want to engage in conversation, and you think about things intellectually, and usually you get a boost of happiness or euphoria, of course, but you laugh more, and then you get hungry and stuff like that. You can't, these are like physical things you can't change. So no matter how much you change your perspective, you won't get to this state of mind, basically. I don't believe it. I mean, not that it has anything to do with believing, I've never had it happen, and I don't see it happening like that, because that's the whole point of smoking, I guess. And just like fasting, you can't get into that survival mode. You can't replicate it unless you're actually there and you're actually basically starving. So that's what I was just saying about the whole perspective thing real quick. And what I was really touching on was the fasting, and if you really wanted to raise awareness, and because it's just like, if you sat somewhere for so long, you would just watch everything go on, which is a lot of people do meditation or gurus. They fucking sit on their ass, basically, and they're at such a low state of energy. I mean, there's probably crazy stories that you heard about this. People can stop their heart from beating, that can generate their own warmth. The reason that they do this is because they're not using their energy for fucking anything. And they're so low, their energy's so subtle, they get into almost a different realm compared to someone who's an athlete or someone who's running around. You can get into it, but it will be a different experience, basically, because they're different energy levels. But if you're sprinting, it's a completely different thing when you're sitting on your ass, starving yourself, and not moving at all, barely using any energy. So you'll get to like subtle levels, and you'll kind of notice things. Your minds will pick up on different things. You'll hear different things. Maybe you'll focus on your breath. You'll hear or feel things internally. So yeah, that's all I like to have for this video. Thanks for tuning in.